What's up, guys? Nikolai here. So I wanted to take some time to talk about the B2B pre-call window and how you guys can find missing revenue between the time someone books a call and shows up. I'm sure you probably haven't thought of that before, right? How do we take advantage of that gap? It's just typically we'll just send a calendar reminder and let them show up. Or we'll just put way more ad spend into the funnel, get more leads, train up our closers better so that we could just, continue scaling, right? What I found after analyzing over 15,000 B2B sales calls and taking thousands myself was that there's actually a huge gap between this time that people book a call and show up that really no one is taking advantage of. And it's such a huge opportunity. But basically, when there's low show rates or there's long sales cycles, what most people do is just settle, right? Oh, we have 60% show rates, we have 5-call sales cycles. But let's just take a step back and think of why does that happen, right? Why does someone not move forward? Well, you know this best. You have access to your sales calls. But typically, there's a lot of reasons why people don't, which is that they're too early in the buyer's journey. What I mean by that is some people are very problem aware. They understand their problem, and that's why they booked a call. But they're curious about the solution. They're not really fully sold on the solution itself. They're browsing options. They're looking at option A, option B, option C. They're looking at vendor A, B, C. They're trying to build trust. They're trying to understand what's out there. And when you pitch them, they just don't even know what they want. So they're not moving forward on that call, of course. They're going to take way longer to close, which requires a lot of education and a lot of trust building and authority building, which happens on the sales calls most of the time. What I wanted to go over is the pre-call window, which for the problem aware, we can actually move them to solution aware by providing education on the overall solution in between that gap. Let's just say someone books a call and they are solution aware, right? They want that specific mechanism, but they don't know who to choose. For those, in that pre-call window between the time that they book a call and show up, it's the perfect time to educate them on why your specific solution is unique and what makes your process different and why they should trust you by providing relevant case studies. And if you do that on the call, it's completely fine. It's just going to delay the amount of time that it takes for someone to make that micro commitment that they trust you. So they're going to pay you later, and it's going to just take longer, or they're just going to close less time. And lastly, you have the product aware. Usually it seems much easier to close them, but actually they're much more aware of what's out there. So it takes a lot better of a first impression to be able to close the product aware. If you could take advantage of that product aware idea that they understand what's out there, but they don't understand why your unique mechanism is the one that they should choose. Very similar to solution aware, they're just a lot more educated on the market and they need to understand more relevant case studies. You see that some people come into the funnel problem aware, some people come into the funnel product aware. But if you treat them completely the same, or you just don't do anything in between the time that someone books a call and shows up, you're just going to naturally have low show rates and long sales cycles. So here's what you could do to actually fix that. And I'm going to go over this real quick for really actionable pro tips that I've learned over the years. And I'm going to go over this quick book to close conversion system. So let's go over the first aspect here, which is going to be analyzing your sales calls. So if you look at these couple softwares, there's tons of softwares you can use. But what I like to use is Cursor. Where do they come from? What was their journey? It's really interesting to look behind the scenes. And as a human, you probably don't have enough time to do this. So why not outsource that to AI, right? What we like to do is we upload a couple hundred sales calls and make sure that we really have a lot of insights that we could pick up. An easy prompt that you can use is just asking the questions that you would ask yourself as a sales manager or your sales manager to get the good information from those sales calls. Once you've identified all the reasons why those that buy ended up moving forward and those that didn't buy, why they didn't move forward, you're gonna have a lot of insight. So what we like to do is wherever your traffic is coming from, let's just say it's Twitter, it's Google, it's Facebook, it's YouTube, wherever they're coming from, if you just give them a link to book a call without a video sales letter, which is very similar to what I'm doing here, I'm speaking to you through video, which is a form of content, which is leverage. I'm explaining to you the problems that you're facing, the solutions that are out there, and how it works, which I'll get into shortly, through a video, which is much easier to translate a message than on the sales call, because some people might not even make it to the sales call. And those that do, I'm going to be spending 20 minutes educating you. Why not just do that before the call? So video sales letter is a really awesome way to move someone further along the buyer's journey before they even book a call. So essentially you want to educate them on the problems, educate them on the solutions out there, and then why you're different. It's really simple once you just speak it out loud, right? Now you're going to have the next problem, which is that people are coming through the funnel unqualified, or people are just coming through the funnel too easily. Sometimes you want to actually add a little bit of positive friction in the funnel so that people have a reason to give you information in return for a spot in your calendar. It's just a perception thing, right? If someone's coming inbound to your calendar, why not add a little bit of friction that gives you more information that you can leverage between the time that someone books a call and shows up so that they can get way more warm in that time. So the first question we ask is, what is your current situation? So for example, if you're running a B2B service, what are you actively doing for X, right? What is your current strategy? That really builds a lot of information because now you know from the hundreds of sales calls you've analyzed, oh, those that have strategy X are probably dealing with this, this, and this, and they're probably assuming, or they're probably going to have these types of objections. So really asking them what's their current situation is a nice way to bucket them, as well as, what is their goal or what's their pain. This just really builds a lot of buy-in in that application. And then lastly, what is their awareness? How familiar are you with X solution? Because when you ask someone how familiar they are, if they're brand new to the idea, they're problem aware. If they're trying some things or they're browsing, they're solution aware. And if they're actively doing it and just looking for the best person to work with, they're more product aware. And that's how you can nurture them, really personalized. Let's just say those that end up booking a call, they are a good fit. They'll see your calendar booking page, call it on Calendly. Now, the problem that most people make is that they let everyone book a call. So what you want to do is you want to set up a downsell that for those that don't qualify or that you don't want to speak to, just go to a different offer. It's fine. Just create leverage by creating a different product that they can really consume and then can still solve their own problems, build trust, and then end up becoming a qualified prospect because of that information. If you look at anyone that's ever created a low ticket or a free thing, it's mostly probably to build trust, provide value, make the other person a shit ton of money, and then they come back to you for help. So that's what a good downsell does. Assuming that the person's qualified and that they do end up booking a call, if you don't have a thank you page, what people are just going to end up doing is their own research, they're going to have their own assumptions, they're going to do their own thinking. But why not take advantage of the most emotional high period of this sales process, which is when someone books a call, right? On the thank you page, you can really build a lot of trust and you can educate people on what you actually want them to know because they've literally given you permission to educate them. They've booked a call. So a good thank you page is going to really provide the right education at the right time, the right case studies at the right time, and just overall establish a relationship and also frame the call. Because if someone doesn't see the value of a call itself, they're just not going to show up, or they're just going to show up with low intent. Now, the problem with a thank you page, there's always going to be a next problem in line. It still helps, but not everyone's going to consume all the information on there, and that's just natural. So the next thing you really want to do is provide them insights through emails. So what we like to do is we like to provide value and educate them the same way we did on the thank you page, but in stories and in long form emails, which is just another format of translating information. If you can get a good email flow going and you get, anywhere from 40 to 60% open rates, each of those emails is handling another question and another objection that would have happened on the sales call. Jeremy Haynes has a really good strategy here called to hammer them. And this is where this actually originated from, which is how can we hammer them with content and value so that they come to the call way more warm. The next thing that people want to consume is visuals and videos. So the same thing that the thank you page did is what you want people to consume in a different form, framed as another benefit. So what I mean by that is the thank you page, they're going to think was a little bit biased because they just booked a call. But what if you gave them a guide on how to X, which is your mechanism, which builds trust and educates them on the actual solution, which they can consume in a presentation deck. We like to use GammaDoc. It's a really nice presentation tool, and it provides a lot of value because people could just skim it on their phone and they don't necessarily have to watch. They can also read. So it's just another format, right? You could see it's an omni-channel pre-call experience, which really builds trust and authority before the call. Lastly, the reason why people don't show up, or the reason why people show up skeptical, is because they feel like they're just another person in the pipeline. So what a good iMessage automation does is basically reenact the same conversation as if I were to text you on my personal phone saying, hey name, just saw you booked a call. What got you interested in X solution? What happens when you have back-to-back sales calls for days is that you don't have time to have a conversation with everyone. So why not automate that with a blue message sending tool? This is why automated iMessages are just so helpful. And it goes back to this point of taking advantage of this gap between the time that someone books a call and shows up. These four systems can really move your prospects further along in the buyer's journey. So they come to the sales call way more prepared, with way more information, with way less questions, with way less objections weighing over their head, and just overall a more open perspective on your solution. So you'll see show rates jump, you'll see close rates jump, and sales cycles shorten just because of these systems. Those are the four systems. I think it's pretty simple for you to implement if you see the same thing coming up again and again on the sales calls, which you're paying for with your time or your money, and you can easily just take advantage of that time between that someone books a call and shows to really help your sales team produce more. I hope this was valuable. If you guys have any questions, just reach out down below. And if you want help implementing this system for you, we actually have a done for you system where we build this out for you in about 14 days so that you can focus on closing deals and continue to just keep on scaling. But if you feel like you can actually take advantage of these systems yourself and you just want help, then I'd love to consult you as well. So just book a call and we'll figure out what makes the most sense. Talk to you guys soon.